Joel, a marriage and mental health coach. I want to welcome you to day 26 of the 40 Days Marriage Recovery Program. In the last 25 days, we've been talking about different areas and different issues that have been a source of concern and struggle for marriages. And we have been looking at how couples can, review all of these issues and be able to bring healing, harmony and lifelong love into their relationship. I've had exciting facilitators join me in the past 25 days, just talking about how we can bring beauty and celebration again into our marriages. And I want to thank all our audience that has been part of this journey so far. Today is day 26, and I'm going to be sharing with us on love is responsible. Love is responsible. And when you look at this awesome subject of responsibility in marriage or a relationship that is going to lead into marriage, it says a lot about the individuals. And pre-marriage, when we're courting or when people are courting, there's a lot of responsibility we take upon ourselves. Some duties, some roles, some care, some burdens that we take off each other. But by the time we come into marriage, you find out that at the strike of a match, or at when you begin to encounter challenges, we begin to drop the responsibilities that actually was or has been the bedrock of our marriage. So today I'm going to be looking at this briefly, so that couples can go back to those things they used to do that brought love, that brought strength, and brought grace into their marriages. Just from the Love Dear book that we're using, it says research shows that married people are happier, healthier, live longer, make more money, and have better sex lives. They also produce healthier, happier children than people who remain single. And this is true. I've experienced it in marriage, I've seen it in the lives of other people. But when you look closely, or when you look at the news or the things that are happening about marriages and relationships today, all of these great benefits that I just mentioned, you think, oh, is far-fetched. Because in so many marriages today, there is no care, no love, no one is taking responsibility about the growth, about the prosperity of that marriage. And truly, these are the things we are going to see when spouses, when the man, when the woman is not taking active role or engaging in the things that should make the marriage grow. Then the way we see marriage today is what it's going to be. So also, if the woman does not take the active roles and responsibilities that she ought to do in a marriage, then marriage would be the the bitter taste that we are all experiencing today. This benefit we enjoy in marriage will greatly depend on how responsible we are taking good care of it. Just as I mentioned, couples must take responsibility for them to enjoy the fruitfulness that comes with marriage. That's why taking responsibility is one of love's greatest requests. I want to encourage couples, and especially those that are coming into marriage. The request of love is to take responsibility. And at this point in your marriage or in our marriages, if things aren't going the way we want them to go, we must check that word responsibility. What have I done? What am I doing that is hurting this marriage, that is bringing peace to this marriage, that is bringing stress and strain to this marriage? It's about taking responsibility. And once we can do that, then we will begin to see beauty in our marriage. Each marriage is a living garden placed under the care of husband and wife. It's the responsibility of both parties. It is not the wife's duty to take care of the kids, or it's her duty alone to go in the kitchen or to do the house chores. It's also going to be the duty of the man. It's a teamwork. Marriage is teamwork. It's not about, oh, this is what we've seen it happen in the past. This is how daddy did it. This is how mommy did it. Every marriage has its uniqueness. Every marriage has its bitter and sweet blend. And both couples need to take responsibility. It's not the responsibility. Yes, over the years of the man has been known to be the breadwinner, and that's great. It's the responsibility of a man to take care of his family. But when there are times of struggles and challenges, then the woman can support. And it's also the responsibility of the man to see that the wife is developed, the wife is growing. Because there are lots of marriages, you find out that the wife is doing greatly well, she's developing in her academics, developing in her career, but the man will feel threatened. No, it ought not to be so. Marriage is a teamwork where people come together to encourage themselves to be the best of themselves. The more responsible you are to fulfill your vows, roles, and duties, the more you will enjoy the many delights and wonders of your oneness. So you got work to do. It's impossible for one hand to wash itself in a good way. I mean, it's impossible. Just my right hand can't clean itself enough. It needs the left hand. That's why God, in His wisdom, gave us two hands. And so, when two parties are coming together to build a solid home, a solid future, a solid legacy, it's the responsibility of both parties. And we must take this upon ourselves. That's why we say marriage is for the men and the women, and not for the boys and the girls. Because when people are not matured, when people do not understand the concept of marriage, when there are issues, when there are struggles, when there are challenges, everybody wants to bail out of the door. But marriage says, take responsibility of the growth of this relationship. Then we must understand that love calls us to take full responsibility for our partner in marriage, to love them, to cherish them, and to help them. That's why we're in marriage. I will always say, I could have lived my life myself alone, and perhaps I would have achieved a lot of things. My wife would have done the same too. But two of us coming together, when to agree to work together, we strengthen each other. We bring beauty out of each other. We bring grace out of each other. We bring joy out of each other. Two cannot lie down together without creating a want. So when we come together in marriage, and I want us to understand this, especially many of us that are in marriages today that is going through lots of heat. We are in the marriage to love each other, to cherish each other, and to help each other. But that's not all. Love also compels us to take responsibility for something else in our marriage, our mistakes. And this is big. This is really big. Because of pride, because of arrogance, because of you don't want to feel small before your wife. You don't want to feel as if you are giving her the power, or she's giving you the power. We don't accept our mistakes. We don't know how to say I'm sorry. We don't even know how to apologize in our relationships. We pass the buck, because there's a saying here that says love doesn't pass the blame or justify wrongs. It doesn't make excuses. Instead, it faces reality about areas of personal weakness and failure that needs to be willingly addressed. A lot of us in marriage, we don't want to accept our weaknesses. We don't want to accept our struggles. We don't want to accept our failures. I know many of us may have grown up in a household, in an environment where, oh no, you can't share your secret with other people. You can't share your secret with someone else. And many of us, we've taken that attitude into marriage. There are some secrets many of us are still keeping away from our spouses, especially the ones that can hand the relationship. I know in our individual life, there's some things you don't want to remember, you don't want to bring to the present. But if those things have the power to hurt your marriage, if those things have a lot of gas in them that can explode in your marriage, please, you shouldn't be ashamed to share with your spouse. If you're weak in any area, you're weak sexually, to third parties, you can share with your spouse, because that's why they're there with you, to help you overcome whatever personal struggles you are going through. I'm like an open book in my home. Even if I don't want to share things immediately, but once I know that these things are going to hurt the marriage, once she comes to the knowledge of it, I don't waste time. I just talk about it, because your spouse is the only person that can protect you when things go wrong. Many of us, we think we can draw strength from third parties. We can draw strength from the other man, draw strength from the other woman. But I've discovered that if we go that route, when matter explodes, you have no other place to go but to come back home. So you must keep your spouse in the know. You must accept your mistakes. You must accept your wrongs. So the next time you're in an argument with your spouse, stop and see if there's some truth to what he or she is saying. And sometimes we tend to argue about things that ought not to be, because we are not accepting our responsibilities. We are not accepting our faults and our mistakes, whether it's from the man or from the woman. When we take responsibility, yes, I did this. There are so many things that I have done that I've taken responsibility. Very painful. I know sometimes our spouses can always say things like this, but I told you, you don't listen. You always tend to do things your own way. It's okay for her to say that. It's okay for him to say that. But one thing is certain, that you accept your wrong, that you take the responsibility. You have taken the power of guilt away from that situation. I repeat that again. When you accept your responsibility, you accept your wrong, you accept your fault and your failure, you have taken the power of guilt, you have taken the power of depression, you have taken the power of anxiety from that situation and even from your spouse. And you begin to work out ways, make out paths, never to make those mistakes or repeat those wrong in the future. A real heart of repentance may take a while to grow in you. Pride is very resistant to responsibility, but humility and honesty before God and your spouse are crucial for healthy relationship. What we're saying, some of the ways that you can get out of anything that is making you not to accept responsibility in your marriage is to be humble. We can be very humble to people out there, but we can't be humble to our spouses. Okay, now let's bring it this way. Even if you don't want to be humble to your spouse, be humble to God. Because the moment you are humble to God, you accept your wrong, you take the responsibility, then you begin to get healing and trust and restoration in your relationship. Apologies bring amazing breakthroughs. They can tear down walls of resistance, rebuild relational bridges, unclog pipelines of communication, and reignite feelings of affection. When we accept our responsibility, when we apologize to our spouse, when we go to God for forgiveness for whatever wrong, whatever failure, whatever mistakes we have done that is hurting our marriages and also our relationship with God, you see that God always forgives us, and no doubt your spouse will always forgive us. And so one of the ways we can quickly get out of issues of irresponsibilities in our marriage situation is by humility and asking for forgiveness and apologizing and putting in place disciplined paths never to make those things repeat themselves. Love is responsibility. Love is this is one of the things that love is requesting of you and I in our marriages, that we must take responsibility for our actions. We must take responsibility for the growth of our marriage, the health of our marriage, the joy of our spouses, the beauty of our children, and the future of the marriage. And you will find out that true healing, true harmony, and true restoration will come again in your marriage. And so what's your Lord dear challenge for the day? What do you need to do today? Just take time to pray through your areas of responsibility and your areas of wrongdoing. Take time to pray about them today. Where you have failed, ask for God's forgiveness. God is able to forgive those who faithful will truly confess their sins to them. Then you must humble yourself enough to admit them to your spouse. I know there are some things you don't want her to know, you don't want him to know, but when you do it in humility, I tell you, that issue will be over. But do it sincerely and truthfully. Ask your spouse for forgiveness as well. No matter how they respond, now this is where the power is. No matter how they respond, make sure you cover your responsibility in love, because sometimes even when you apologize based on your mistakes and error, it's not going to be easy for your spouse to take it. It's going to still break their heart. It's going to still hurt them. They will feel really, really bad. But one thing is certain, that you have taken that step of accepting responsibility and making those apologies. Within short time, they will forgive and your marriage will flourish again. I want to use this opportunity now to pray quickly for couples, for relationships that are going through stormy times because one person, one partner is not accepting his or her responsibility. Lord, I pray today for marriages that are going through tough times and challenges because one partner is not accepting a fault or a wrongdoing. I pray that you bring conviction into that situation today. That whatever that situation is, that party will be convinced and convicted. I come to a place of forgiveness and apologies that will restore true healing into that marriage. And I pray that your peace that surpasses all understanding will reign and rule in every marriage in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. I want to thank you again for joining me on the day 26 of this 40 days marriage recovery program, Dare to Make Your Marriage Work. We've been talking about love is responsibility. Love wants you to take an active part in the growth and fruitfulness of that relationship. And we have also shared the love day of the day. Ask for forgiveness, confess whatever you have done to God and to your spouse, and with time you see healing will be restored again in your marriage. Do not forget to reach out to us. This is just day 26. Tomorrow is going to be day 27. You're going to go into marriage, or you're in a marriage, you want your marriage to be prayed for, or you want someone to provide counseling, guidance, to bring healing, to bring harmony and lifelong love again into your marriage. Please send us a mail, give us a call, and we'll be glad to be part of your marriage journey. Tomorrow is day 26, day 27, same time, 5:40 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. I look forward to seeing you. And as we have prayed, peace is restored again into your marriage, and you'll be glad that the hand of God is upon that marriage. Until I see you tomorrow, remember, love is responsibility. And bye.